Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. मैं हूँ सादिया और you're watching at TV with Sadia Sadat. Today we are discussing the issue of Kashmir. This lockdown situation has completely taught us that what it feels like to be in your house and homebound, and truly tells us that how the Kashmiri people would be feeling at the moment in their home because they are locked down since August now, last year. And we have with us a respected guest who will be talking and sharing their views that what they have done so far. Because as we know that this campaign is the Let Kashmir Decide is the campaign they have started. Claire Bidwell is the co-founder of that campaign, and she'll be telling us that what's her initiative behind it. And then we have Ali Raza, who is the president for Kashmir Council EU, and he will be telling us about the role of it. Then we have Usman Attique Sahab. He is the chairman youth wing for Muslim Conference. And then soon we will be joined by Muhammad Ikram. He's the voice chair of Friends of Kashmir. We have with us Wajid Khan. He is the ex-European Member Parliament, and he's also a national coordinator for Labour Friends of Kashmir. And we have Waqas Akram with us, who is the media coordinator for the Let Kashmir Decide, and we are all here because of him, because he was the person who united all of us and talk on this forum. So let me just start with Waqas first. What do you see at the moment, and what are the ground realities at the moment that you see?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, thank you so much, Sadia, for giving us time. And I would like to say thank you to all of your team for giving us time and raising this Kashmir cause. Then I would like to thank you to our respectable guests, Mr. Usman Attique Sahib, Ali Raza Syed Sahib, and Wajid Khan Sahib, that they are joining us in this show. So all of our team, we are very thankful to you, and especially thanks to Claire Bidwell. She is the co-founder of the Let Kashmir Decide. So many thanks to all of the guests. And as you know, Sadia, this Kashmir dispute is going on from last 70 years, and people have sacrifices enough lives. Kashmiris has given enough sacrifices, lots of human rights violation inside Indian occupied Kashmir. Indian forces are brutally killing innocent Kashmiri people there in the valley and in the Jammu. So the current situation is very bad, as we have heard in the news, especially yesterday. There was a standoff and some little fight between India and Chinese side in Ladakh. So there were like 20 Indian soldiers got killed in that fight, and situation is very tense on that part of side. But here, in Azad Kashmir, like everything is very peaceful. Pakistan is a very good administrator, you can say. So the things here are very good. But the situation in Indian occupied Kashmir is very bad, as you have seen. Massive killings there on Indian occupied Kashmir. They are destroying homes. They are killing children. The pellet gun use and massive use of force against the innocent Kashmiri people. So you can say in that, like in Indian occupied side, I mean, situation is very bad. So that's why we have this campaign, Let Kashmir Decide. And we want people from all over the world and governments of all over the world to support and join us for the Kashmir cause, Stand with Kashmir. And they should put pressure on the Indian side so India should stop human rights violations, and India should give right of
Yes. Hello.
I think we lost his internet connection.
Yeah, probably this is the situation that it's there that we see. Claire, would you like to add further to it?
Yeah, I mean, I think Rakas summed up lots of that really well, where we're going into. I mean, when I first became aware of this, it was just after the lockdown, and the sense of injustice and indignancy that I felt about this was just sort of beyond belief, really. In my country, this news just wasn't shared with us. You know, I felt quite bad, really, to get to kind of the age I have and really not being aware of this situation. So I just had this sense of, right, there must be something, there must be something we can do to make a difference. And it was about, right, well, what can I do to make a difference? And for me, it's being on the outside and looking in. It's being on, for want of a better description, in the, the white, European community and bringing it out to the Western world in a way that, you know, I don't think it had been allowed for before. And even then, it's been a challenge because a lot of the media, they're not, you know, for lots of different reasons, for many different reasons, it's not being shown, it's not out there, so people aren't able to act as we may want to because it's just not big enough. So for me, it came from a desire to go to Indian occupied Kashmir and get the troops out, and I wanted to take the world with me. And then I realized, obviously, the various constraints, you know, where we're doctrinated in our society, when we're having our breakfast at this time, and we're going to work at this time, we're taking our students to school at this time, it would be very difficult and logistically for everyone to go there. So that just developed the idea to have a tea event in Muzaffarabad and bring the people from every country in the world there to stand in solidarity with Kashmir. Awareness.
Sorry, Claire, to cut you, but since you have started this campaign, could you tell us, is there any milestone that you think that you have touched so far, or is it delayed because of the coronavirus now?
Well, what I'm really hoping that I can see is raising awareness. I do think more awareness has been raised since I got there, and one of the things we're looking for, obviously the way it developed, was this Let Kashmir Decide, is the idea to bring everybody, regardless of your ideology, for the future of Kashmir. If we all unite for humanity and under the umbrella of Let Kashmir Decide, then we're all stronger together. On my journey along the way, you know, we have got over 30 representatives in 30 different countries, and in the UK we're starting now to try and unite all regions of the UK, bring us all together, all pro-Kashmiri groups, and that's just an initial stage just now. And we do have a blueprint that we want to work to start to lobby our government and ask for government support. So we've got a petition on the go. We've got a group that has grown and is growing. I've just started recently my own Facebook page, which, you know, I'm amazed at how much support I've had in a few days. So I'm hoping to progress that, take that further, just building the awareness around the globe really in the best way I can, because the whole situation is, from the outside looking in, there's no need for it. It's not necessary. It's, people have one life only, and there's so many millions who are suffering. You know, even Indian soldiers are human beings, and they're all getting caught up. Everybody's lives is just, there's no need for it. So that's my crusade. That's what I'm trying to do, to make the difference and make more people aware, and hopefully they'll rise for Kashmir.
So coming to you, Sardar Usman Ali Khan Sahab, if you could tell us that since you're the chairman also for the youth wing of Muslim Conference, and you have been in the power for quite many years, your father Sardar Attique was the prime minister of AJK for a long time, and then your grandfather was also in the politics, Sardar Abdul Qayyum. So how do you see, what do you think that you have achieved anything so far, or are you standing still the same point where we were before?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this this discussion, and I'm very glad to hear about this campaign. Let's Kashmir Decide. It's very helpful in this current scenario. As you mentioned, that we have been part of power corridors in Azad Kashmir for a very long time. Yes, that's true, and there has been very concrete steps that were proposed by Muslim Conference in the past, and they were later on followed by even in the Musharraf plan, the people-to-people contact, the intra-Kashmiri dialogue, these sort of measures. But let's talk about right now. It's a totally different scenario. It's a totally different world right now. Now we have to deal with it according to the current situation. And in the post-5th August situation, the serious crises are emerging now, as Waqas just mentioned, that there was an exchange of fire. It wasn't just exchange of fire. It was after 5th of August that China approached United Nations Security Council twice. And now the fight right now going on is on the Kashmiri soil. It's not Indian border. It's not a Chinese border. It's the disputed state of Jammu and Kashmir as recognized by the United Nations Security Council resolutions. So the problem is that over here in this part of the world, Now it emerges, it appears as if there was a design against China or whatever their interest was. I don't want to get into those details, but it is affecting the life of the people of state of Jammu and Kashmir. As you saw yesterday, China, in reaction to Chinese military conflict that they had on the border, there was a pin drop silence from the Indian side. Whereas had it been Pakistan or otherwise, or it was Ladakh, they would say, we are going to do this and we are going to do this to the Union territory. We are abrogating 370. We are doing these measures, sending more troops. We'll kill them with pellet guns, everything. But they didn't have any answer yesterday. So now the things in this region, in this particular part of the world, Southeast Asia, the situation is it's just emerging day by day. And as I can see that this voice, this special campaign of Let Kashmiri Decide, it appears to be very much in line with what's going to happen in the future, as it seems. And in this time, in this period, post 5th August, there was no formula. There was nothing. It wasn't expected that this would happen. So people like Ali Raza Syed, people like Wajid Khan, people like so many people in like Claire Bidwell, many other European Parliament members and British members of the Parliament and other international newspapers and media organizations, they've supported very well, and we have pleaded our case to those to those forums. But unfortunately, when there is a will, there is a way. It doesn't seem that the world is so serious of to getting an end to these violations by the Indian military on the innocent and unarmed Kashmiris. But now, as we see, the situation is getting out of India's hand as well. And now there is a third party, the China. At first, it was India used to say that it was a bilateral issue. Now it's a trilateral issue because it's on the Kashmiri soil in the Ladakh, where Chinese forces have captured 60 square kilometers of area. So now everything is got irrelevant, and now the relevance is to many other different things right now that are emerging. And I'm very hopeful. I'm very hopeful that it will, one way or the other, bring an end to all the atrocities that Kashmiris have been suffering through for the last 7 decades. Finally, it will end one way or the other.
Okay. So coming to you, Mr. Ali Raza Syed, you're the president of Kashmir Council. What do you see the role of European Union in it? And do you see that they are realizing this, that there are so many human rights violations going on in Kashmir at the moment?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be part of this discussion. I think after the August 5, 2019, the situation is completely, slowly but completely, it's changing. If you go back to the 5th of August 2019, in Europe, I will talk just about the what we are facing here. Nobody was listening to us, even for 70 years. The people of Kashmir and all our they are giving the lives on the ground, and the diaspora is always trying to convince the international community to come forward, because we have seen Pakistan and India has signed several agreements like Shimla Agreement, Tashkent, Lahore Agreement, but still we did not get the peace. So it means the Pakistan and India, they cannot resolve bilaterally, and it is not a bilateral issue. It is a issue of 15 million human beings. So we try to convince the European Union institution. Sorry, but the problem was that they were portraying that India is the biggest democracy, it is a secular state, and that was very the big challenge for us. But now, after the 5th of August, and after when they passed the citizenship law in India against the minorities and especially against the Muslims, the situation and the mindset is changing slowly. And now the people, they listen. Like last week, you have seen our chairman of Human Rights Subcommittee, Maria Arena, she wrote a letter to Amit Shah. It was also unprecedented. And then 15 members of European Parliament, Wajid Khan will tell you about that. But 15 members, they wrote the letter also. And now the institution, the main decision makers, they are changing their mind. They are not seeing as a democratic India. They are not seeing as a secular India. They are seeing that India is moving towards the fascism, moving towards the dictatorism, or they are using the same methods what the Hitler was using in Nazi Germany. So it is a point where the people started listening to us. And I think there is two other things also, which I will request. Usman Sahib is there, and I hope the others, the people, they are listening to us also, that we have to think about, and it is our leadership. We are just the workers. We are just doing whatever and we can do. But our leadership, 70 years has gone, there was not success. So they have to sit together and find where there was mistakes and why it went wrong, why we were not successful. And the other thing is to convey the message of unity to the world. And we should have one narrative, the right to self-determination, and to end the human rights violation there. I think on these 2 points, we can get
because in the Shimla
I am hopeful.
It was said that it was a bilateral issue between India and Pakistan, but now this is the time that the world should realize that it's not a bilateral issue anymore now. It's a human right violation which is going on there for a very long time now. And as you were talking about
Sorry, I would like to add that the Pakistan, I will request the government of Pakistan also that it is the time. India violated the bilateral agreements. So normally Pakistan is not obliged to continue with that. We should say that it is India violated, it's over now. Now it is an international issue. It was an international issue. It is the matter of human beings for 15 million humans who are living in Kashmir. So I think they can get, and the international community will understand, like China has done, what China has done. China was also saying that line of actual control, and on the other hand, between Pakistan and India, the line of control. Nobody can change unless we have to find a solution. But India unilaterally has tried to change the situation.
Mr. Ali Syed, you have really pointed out a very good point about the that we should reunite on this issue, especially in the Pakistani. They should do something about it, especially the Prime Minister of Pakistan. He should do something. I'll get to that point, but before that, I'll take on Wajid Khan because he's also the ex-European Parliament, and what he has his view on it. And then if also you can tell us, because since the previous Labour government, which was from the UK, they had this stance that they will be supporting the Kashmiris. And we see that they have quite a different narrative now. So how do you see about the UK Parliament? What do you see the role of it? So can you unmute your mic, please?
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. First of all, thank you for hosting the show, the wonderful panels, Ikram Saab, Sardar Usman Saab, Ali Raza Syed, and Claire Bidwell. And thank you, Waqas in particular, to getting us all together. Can I just first of all say how great pleasure it's been over the years to work with Ali Raza Syed Shahab, work as a chairman of Kashmir Council EU. He's done a fantastic job, brilliant advocate for the Kashmiri cause, and we worked well together. And I think his work is more important now. As you know, British MEPs are no longer there in the European Parliament, and it's a sad situation in the sense that it was the British MEPs who raised the Kashmir issue more than anybody in the European Parliament. And I think this is the failure of the Kashmir cause over the years, and Claire touched upon this, is that how do you internationalize this Kashmir cause? How do you make sure that people don't look at it from a very convoluted angle? India and Pakistan, they should look at this not from a bilateral point of view, but from a humanity point of view. I'm not background, but I don't think Claire is in particular. But you don't have to be Kashmiri background to care about young children unfortunately being shot at, women being raped. And this is gross human rights abuses, not violations, abuses. And I think it's shameful that in this year, in 2020, we are still witnessing this kind of barbaric behavior. And I think the point we've got to touch on is I did a lot of work on Kashmir. I championed the historic hearing in February 2019 last year. It was a huge success. And then I co-signed a letter with 50 MEPs, which was a record looking at the issue of the use of pellet guns against children, an open letter to Narendra Modi. And just recently, I was really concerned about the momentum after we British left. I'm really glad to know my colleagues, Maria Rayner, she wrote, as Ali Raza Shah just talked about, she wrote a letter to the Indian Home Minister, Amit Shah, and then more importantly, the Vice President of the European Parliament, Fabio Massimo Castaldo, who just written an open letter to the Commission President and the High Representative Joseph Borrell. I think that's really important because there's a big concern that after, from a European point of view, that will the German, French, Italian, and other 27 countries, will they understand the Kashmir issue? Would they raise the issue? And I think the point I'm trying to make is that European values have been historic. You look at human rights, the rule of law. These are important values, and we don't want a trade deal with countries who are, perpetrate human rights abuses on its people. And the important point is, I've had a great experience working with the United Nations Human Rights Council. You've got to separate the Human Rights Council from the UN, the council, the permanent members of it, because I think there's a big criticism from the UN General Secretary and their team in comparison to the Human Rights Council team, because they can't promise people a plebiscite and 70 odd years later that is still to be fulfilled. The United Nations needs to do its job. It's a great institution. I believe in the great institution, but it has to do its job now. And as we speak today, India is trying to join as a non-permanent member, and the elections taking place. And dare I say, they'll probably win, because that's the geopolitics at the moment. And let me be clear, I absolutely condemn what's happened. And sad to hear the loss of life for the 20 Indian soldiers. Any loss of life is tragic, and my thoughts are with them and their families. And it's really heartening to know that this organization you're just talking about being able to let Kashmir decide, it's fantastic. And I'm happy. I wanted to leave the European Parliament and do more work within my party, and I co-founded Labour Friends of Kashmir. And the point you made, our leader had made some, I think you were talking about our leader had a different stance, and he said something. And I think that is something we're working on with Keir Starmer. I think he'll look back and reflect himself at his choice of words by saying it's a bilateral issue. But then look, it's a progress. It's work in progress. He's going on a journey as well. And over the next few weeks, we've got a Zoom meeting with him, and I'll be stipulating clearly from my experience as a Labour's human rights spokesman in the European Parliament. And let me just reassure Usman, he's got some big shoes to fill, because when I worked with Sardar Attique, he has a very strong vision for his people, and I think I was very impressed with that. I'll leave it there and hopefully come back in later.
Okay, thank you. Continuing with you, Mr. Ikram, since you are from the Conservative, what do you see the role of the Parliament here? Are they playing their enough pivotal role in it, or do you think they're just just watching it?
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank you, Sadia, for inviting me in this discussion. In fact, from last 6-7 months, you see, after the new parliament, there's a you see many different political parties, they're talking about the Kashmir issue. The 10 months ago when India locked down the Kashmir, the situation got worse. Kashmir is always under lockdown, but this lockdown is worse than any other lockdown. The people living in Srinagar, the people living in the other part of Kashmir, they know how they've been suffering from last over 70 years. My friends were talking about the bilateral and trilateral issue. I know the world is, there's a double standard when it's come to the Kashmir politics.
Yeah.
Before the Cold War, it was not a bilateral issue. After the Cold War, suddenly it's becoming the bilateral issue. And now we're saying this is a trilateral issue. Although, when you have a disputed area, there's a neighbor, they are always part of those disputes. And, like you see the Afghan wars, Pakistan is also one of, the neighbor of Afghanistan. And because of that dispute, the people of region are suffering. And not only regional people, but the Pakistan region. We're talking about here the Kashmir issue. And, you talk about the British Parliament. I think from the last 17 years, Britain have more responsibility than any other country about the Kashmir issue. And because they left the Kashmir has an unresolved issue.
It was their unfinished agenda.
Yeah. So all political parties, when it's come to the election, they complain about the Kashmir and Palestine issue, especially, sadly our Asian candidate. Doesn't matter whichever party they belong to. They always come to our community. They're asking for supports over the Kashmir issue and Palestine issue. But sadly, when they go to the parliament, they do support the Kashmir issue. But I personally think they should have to work more hard to bring more parliamentarian on their side to support us. Every parliamentarian may have 2 to 3 friends or 10 friends. If they become part of their lobbying group, I think we can be a strong voice. In current parliament, you see, whenever our friends, they organize the Kashmir conference in parliament, normally we see 15 to 20 parliamentarians come to join us, including the Lords as well. So this time, you see, when there was a Kashmir conference, and it was organized by the Tehreek-e-Kashmir Bartania and some other Kashmiri organizations. And because we worked very hard before the general election, and we managed to lobby more conservative MPs, and it was also chaired by our local MP, Paul Bristow. Paul Bristow is a local MP for Peterborough. It was chaired by him, and it was first time that we managed to get support of over 50 MPs and Lords, and majority of them was conservatives. I think all the friends, normally we have different organizations, we are part of different political parties, but we all wanted to do the same thing. Kashmiris are suffering, and this is our responsibility, not only as a political workers, but as a human being, to support those people who are suffering. I appreciate the Claire Bidwell's hard work. She not only working for the Kashmir cause, but she bringing our communities together for this noble cause. So I think this is a good example for us. I'm also in coordination with Claire Bidwell and her team, and we are trying our best.
You are actually giving us hope that the government is working towards the Kashmir cause, and it will be done. Coming back to Sardar Usman Ali Khan sir, Ali Raza was mentioning that it's the Pakistani government has to do something about it, and they have to have a clear stance on it. Do you think, because your father was a prime minister of AGK as well, and so was your grandfather, do you think the prime minister being a prime minister of AGK, do you have enough power to do the things, or you really need to have a dictation from the Pakistani government?
Well, yes,
it is something that I really wanted to know, because I don't know.
No. I would be very open in saying that everybody accepts the dictation of someone. Yes, we like to accept the dictation from the government of Pakistan. We have a constitutional and financial relationship devised legally with the government of Pakistan. So we have a certain framework, and according to United Nations resolutions, it's the responsibility of the government of Pakistan and the government of India. But as you can see, there's Wajid Khan, there is Muhammad Ikram, there's Claire Bidwell, there are many more MPs, there are Ali Raza Syed Saab, and many other names which you can see rising on the international scenario. They have been working with the local parliamentarians, with the local senators, with the local human rights institutions and media organizations to flare up, to highlight this issue. Now, the problem is, as I said earlier, Now, we don't have oil in Kashmir. But there is India in Kashmir. So there's so many complications that are attributed to our problem. And these complications have excelled. These have added up with the passage of time, as it was due to its unresolved nature. So there were further more complications. But with the government of Pakistan, yes, I would like to say that government of Pakistan has not done enough to highlight the issue. There are measures. The Kashmiris have advised from overseas, from here within Pakistan, and the Kashmiri leadership, they had advised many measures, and they would have done enough. And but they still, as I say, that people like Ali Raza Syed and Wajid Khan Sahab and all these people, they're all the representative of Kashmiris, whosoever is raising voice for Kashmir. So this is a success that years ago, 10, 15 years, 20 years ago, there was no name of Kashmir issue in the international media 30 years ago. But suddenly somebody worked. We worked together with the government of Pakistan, with our own institutions. But right now, in this situation, there are many complications with this region. There is a strategic interest of the West in this region against China, in favor of India, or
now
whatever.
China is also the party of it.
Yes, and it's all ended up India getting more frustrated, and this frustration, they are ending up being with more atrocities on the Kashmiris. But here on this side of in Pakistan, in AJK, but Kashmiris are this crisis have brought Kashmiris to one point, to the right of self-determination. That is the common line between all the Kashmiris. Now, wherever they are, whosoever they follow, whatever their ideology is, and whatever their party is, whatever their country is, but they have agreed upon one thing, that is, there's a right of self-determination, and this opportunity must be given to the Kashmiris. And now in 70 years, the Kashmiris have been saying right from day one that if this issue is left unattended and unfinished, it will end up in an armed race. And now we can see that the state of Jammu and Kashmir is encircled by all the nuclear powers. And this is the most nuclearized region of the world, Southeast Asia. And we have got the largest concentration of any military known in the human history that is there in the Indian occupied Kashmir. So these are all the situations. I mean, the world knows that there is a military. The world knows what military does. The world knows that what is the requirement of Pakistan's whole army is 600,000, and more than 700,000 troops are deployed in the Indian occupied Kashmir. There is some sense. The world is not interested, but the Kashmiris. One thing that I would say, a very important thing, that there will misconceptions that the Kashmir movement has died down. The people are tired now. The people won't raise their voices. This concept from 2002-3, right from when there was an agreement with India in Musharraf time, and there was a formula, and there was intra-Kashmir dialogue, and then it was said that Kashmiri movement has died down. It again stood up, and Burhan Wani, and after Burhan Wani, now Riaz Naiko, and now there are other people, Junaid Sahrai. There are many more. They are appearing, and there is no end to it. One thing, one litmus test. The weakness, if there is any weakness to the Kashmir issue in the movement, in the spirit of the people who are leading the Kashmiri movement, then India will reduce its military presence in Indian occupied Kashmir. But it's not doing so. Rather, on the other hand, it's on the contrary, it's increasing day by day. So the Kashmiris, this crisis has united the Kashmiris. This crisis has opened up the eyes of many others who were blindfolded in the love for India, for the democratic values, for their trade, the size of their trade, and their contribution to the world institutions, and so on and so forth. Likewise, Britain has its own complications, especially after the Brexit. Their economy has so much to do with the India and China. So they are not independent as well. So coming back here, that I'm very hopeful. The best thing is to have a hope that yes, we are moving in the right direction. We are united, and we are agreeing on one thing. We have never spoken to the people who were in favor of independent Kashmir. But in these crises, we sat together. He said,
Okay.
let's come out to
Yeah,
one
because I
plan.
believe
And right
for your party, the slogan was normally Kashmir Banega Pakistan. But
no,
now,
it's not normally. We are the pioneers. In 1947, we are the pioneers. We laid the foundation. And according to that resolution of accession to Pakistan in 1947 in Srinagar, that
Yeah.
was in line with the 3rd June plan and in line with the United Nations resolution. So there's nothing wrong with having this ideology. We are the pioneers and we proudly say that. But what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say that it has this crisis, post 5th August crisis, has brought us to get closer, all the Kashmiris from different ideologies and different school of thoughts, that let's have one voice. And what is that one voice? The right of self-determination. And one interpretation of right of self-determination is what Claire Bidwell and other people, Let's Kashmir Decide. Ali Raza Syed Saab, I've been working with him and in the European Parliament, and I was there on an internship program many years ago. So I'm very much familiar with all this environment and all these people. So they are the stars. They are the people who are advocating Kashmir issue. So rest assured that Kashmiris are stronger than before. Kashmiris are united than before, and Kashmiris are raising their voices more effectively.
And
the
you're
world
getting
has
enough
suddenly
support from the Pakistani government in this cause.
The Pakistani government has its own, as I said, Pakistani government has its own. There is a situation in Afghanistan. There is a situation on Iran border. There is a situation between America and Iran. And there are so many proxy countries sitting in Afghanistan. And on the other side, the India is bullying constantly Pakistan, and the line of control is all lit up for the last so many years. And nobody's taking any notice. Even UN MOGIB, that has a responsibility to report it to the United Nations, even they have failed to highlight what Indians have been doing on the ceasefire line, what we call ceasefire line, and the rest of the world call it a line of control. So there are so many other things. So Pakistan, with this economic conditions, with the political instability, so many inner challenges. It would have been much better if Pakistan was a stable, economic, and politically stable country. It would have done better. We don't doubt the intention of Pakistani leadership vis-a-vis Kashmir, nor the military, because it's the lifeline of Pakistan. It's not about the people of Kashmir. Pakistan is party. Pakistan has the right to speak about it because, as per United Nations resolution, it is a party to the dispute.
Okay. So, Syed Ali Raza Saab, what do you have to say? Have you got enough answer that what you were talking about earlier, that there has to be a proper support from the Pakistani government, and what do you have to say about it? And especially now when we say that the China is also the party now, so how do you see where it's going to be?
I think the Pakistani nation is standing by the people of Kashmir for the last 70 years. They suffered a lot because of the Kashmiris. But my question was that if we were not successful, so there is a problem. There is a problem in our strategy, in our way of working, or whatever you can say. With the change word, now before 9/11, the word was different. After the 9/11, word has changed completely. Then now after Corona, COVID-19, I think the word will not be as before. So we have to think about that. What strategy, which way we can convey our message, which can be listened. And now it's the time, and if we miss this opportunity, which God has given to us, I think we have to sit together. We have to see our faults, our mistakes, and we have to correct them. It's not the question, that one person is not doing this, or the other leader is not doing this. No, everyone is sincere with the cause. They have different ways to achieve this, but my question is that why not we can sit together, our leadership, not us, our leadership, and they can find that if we failed, why we failed. This way, it was now after the new situation, what is how we can move forward. And I will say again, the word about India, what the image India has created for last 70 years, it is tarnished by Modi Sarkar. So now it's the time that we have to play our role and tell the people of international community that what we were saying for last 70 years, that there is a no democracy, more than 700, 800,000 military security forces killing every day the Kashmiris. Yesterday, the Secretary General of UN also issued a statement about the children. So everybody knows, but now it's the time that how we can catch it. And I will say again that Usman Saab, Sardar Attique Saab, Barrister Sultan Saab, Raja Farooq Haider Saab, what all the leadership in Azad Kashmir, and then they can have the APIC leaders, or they can sit together and find the way where and how we can move forward, and what the if we have some mistakes in the past, we have to accept that. If we don't accept the mistakes, we will never find the new answers. And that is the way I think to move forward. And Wajid Khan Sahab, he knows, he was a European member of European Parliament, and last year there was a hearing because of his efforts. British MEP has done a lot, and Wajid Khan, he was only for a short period, maybe 2 years, but he has done a lot for the people of Kashmir. But we have to continue. We have to build on it. And we can build only when we have the directions from our leadership, from Indian occupied Kashmir, from Azad Kashmir, from diaspora, the leadership. They should convey us, I mean the workers like us who are working on the ground, we should get the message from them that this is, we have done this, this was a mistake, but we will not again repeat that that mistake. And due to the new situation, we will.
Yeah. So now you're talking that the world has to realize and these issues, and I think Waqas has done quite a lot on it. Waqas, would you like to tell us any other achievement that you have done so far in making the world realize this Kashmir issue?
Yes, Sadia. Let Kashmir Decide. We have engaged people from at least 30 countries in this campaign, and we are raising awareness. When this campaign was started, declare, and there was another guy from Kotli Azad Kashmir. His name is Jawad, and these two people, they decided to start this campaign. But now this campaign is widely spread into 30 countries of the world. We have now 30 country representative, we have 4 continental reps, and so we have engaged the common people from every country in this campaign, and we are raising this Kashmir cause, and we are reaching out to the people of the world, and we are raising awareness that what India is doing in Indian occupied Kashmir, and the massive human rights violations that Indian occupied forces are doing inside Indian occupied Kashmir. And another thing I want to also mention here is another achievement, and that is I believe that our campaign's biggest achievement is there was New Zealand government. Their stance before was in reference to Kashmir issue was somehow you can say in the favor of India before, but we did a massive campaigning. I personally wrote a letter to the New Zealand Prime Minister, and they just replied me back on just like 3 or 4 days ago. And after in that letter, they recognized this thing that this is not an internal matter of the India. This is an internationally recognized dispute, and they stand with Kashmir. They raise their concerns on the human rights violations which are going on in Indian occupied Kashmir, and they registered their concerns with the Indian and Pakistan government in reference to this Kashmir issue. So that's what I think is the biggest achievement that we have done under this platform, Let Kashmir Decide. And another thing I want to know, the biggest achievement is that we bring, we gathered all ideologies here under one platform, which is Let Kashmir Decide. We have the people from several ideologies. We all are united under one platform, which is Let Kashmir Decide. And I also want to mention one more thing, Sadia, here, to stand with Kashmir. You don't need to be a Kashmiri. You just have to be a human being with a good heart, and you can stand with Kashmir.
Yeah, thank you. Wajid Khan, would you like to add anything to it? Since you know that you were the European member of Parliament, but then Now, how do you see it is going to go? Because since the China is also the part to it, so what do you think could be the way forward? Since he has also was able to promote it quite to the wider countries, and then countries are on board now. Let Kashmir decide. Do you see any hope in it?
Sadia, I always believe in hope. I never lose hope. I think if you have a positive vision to even though Kashmir has suffered so many decades, and I think the momentum's there. And being openly honest, I'd love to work with your organisation, Get Kashmir Decide, and let me be clear.
Your voice is not very clear.
Can you hear me now?
I don't know if
There's some distortion in your voice.
yeah, there's a distortion.
Just come back. If you go to somebody else, I can't hear me.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Is it okay now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's fine.
yeah.
What I was going to say is, look, as it has it's mentioned before, that China, India, and Pakistan are all nuclear powers. Okay? The most militarized zones in the world. But the international community isn't giving it its due importance or concern. India's playing a very clever game. I've had many conversations with the Indian ambassador, many fights with Indian politicians on this. They keep saying, no, it's not international, as we'll sort out with Pakistan. But then they never sit down with Pakistan, and then time just passes and passes. They want to kind of de-internationalize it and not get people involved. Our strategy is going to be, how do you internationalize this? Waqas spoke to wonderful Prime Minister Jacinda, and then these are kind of internationalizing, educating people. Because I'll tell you something now, a lot of people in the UK still and Europe do not understand the Kashmir issue. They think it's something to do with Pakistan and India. Well, we've got to look at solutions now. We can't keep talking about it all the time and look how bad the situation is. We've got to mobilize and do things within our certain limits. Whether that's Kashmir Decide or whether that's my work in the Labour Friends of Kashmir and working with the leadership, trying to inform them about what the situation is. The problem is that we've got to look at history. We're not looking at history. France and Germany are now, which World War II, now are the most strongest allies and the most powerful countries in the European Union. Closer to home, my country, in Northern Ireland problems, we had issues down there. So there are lessons to be learned around these very difficult issues, conflicts. But my huge concern is that the United Nations Human Rights Council is getting a bit fed up now. From my conversation with the HRC, the rapporteurs of reports. Now, Pakistan, let me give credit to Pakistan, has probably been the only country that has raised the Kashmir issue on every international platform. No other country takes that interest. However, Pakistan needs to look at the recommendations of the June 2018, July 2019 United Nations report and implement them. And I've had the conversations with the Foreign Minister Sharma with Karachi and discussing with the ambassadors here in Brussels. There are structural problems that Pakistan needs to address that. One, Pakistan needs to allow the United Nations to visit them, because I know India is saying no to them. And my colleague Debbie Abrahams, you can't even go to the Indian side of it. The Indian side of Kashmir, you cannot go. We never, as MEPs, we were never allowed to visit Kashmir. So that begs the question: if we cannot visit that side of Kashmir, what are you hiding? And I think what we've got to mobilize. My final point, Sadia, is by working with colleagues, like-minded colleagues, and internationalizing the issue and writing and putting pressure. The European Union, there is still a lot of work going on. Contact between our colleagues. Ali Raza Syed is doing a fantastic job. We've got to support colleagues like Ali Raza Syed. We've got to write to people. The big problem is still at this moment in time, people think it's an India-Pakistan issue. It's not. It's a human rights issue.
Yeah, exactly. So the world have to realize this.
Exactly.
Sardar Usman, what do you think about this current domicile law that they have put in now?
Of course, Sadia, this law India has wasted all his resources, military resources, and all the inhuman tactics and brutal measures to deal with the Kashmiris, but it certainly failed. So now they had to come up with other options. It's totally illegal. It's unconstitutional. If you look at the formation, the basic the Article 370, for instance. It was done by Sheikh Abdullah, but it was done in such a mature manner that if there was any amendment to it, it had to be done by the state legislative assembly, not this assembly. So there had to be a prime minister in Indian occupied Kashmir, and then they had to decide if they want to reconsider anything in Article 370. So whatever is done, it's totally illegal. And what India is doing, furthermore, and they have issued more than, if I'm correct, it's around more than 300,000 domiciles they have issued up till now. But nothing would work. The people, for instance, the Ladakh territory, which is not majority a Muslim territory, there are Muslims there as well, but they're part of state of Jammu and Kashmir. They have their concerns about the plans of India, and they want to move a huge investment there in that area, particular region. But they have not enough water resources, and they have a natural life, and they will be turned into minorities by the presence of the foreigners from across the globe, and in such a beautiful place. And likewise, the people of Jammu, the Hindus in Jammu, they have raised serious objection against the migration of the lower caste Hindus to their areas, because they won't allow that. They are very superior Dogra Hindus. They're very superior Hindus, and they're very martial Hindus as well. And these concerns are coming from within the BJP lines, their own political order. So it won't, no matter what India has right now, the legitimacy or illegitimacy, whatever way you can say, they are doing whatever they want to do, but it won't last long. There are a couple of things that we have to bear in mind. Number one, that there cannot be any talks on Kashmir until there is some trust, some confidence on both sides between India and Pakistan. And that's why after during Musharraf proposal, there was a confidence building measures. So the confidence building measures, and first of all, India has to let Kashmiri leadership go away, free Kashmiri leadership, and then there has to be an intra-Kashmiri dialogue. There's so many things. It cannot be done like switch on off button. It cannot be resolved overnight. But whatever India is doing, ultimately, finally, I must say, Sadia, India will have to pay, because there are some laws that are man-made, that is we call law, international law. But there are laws of nature that nobody can violate. Whosoever violates will be punished by the nature. So India is now coming to those consequences. We are not happy about it. To be very honest, we Kashmiris, we thought we can always be a bridge of peace between the two rival nations. But it never happened due to the hatred and animosity, mainly from the Indian side. And that has clearly shown up by the BJP and this Hindutva extremism and fascism. It's not just threat to the Kashmiris. Now what Kashmiris had been suffering, the world is realizing what's coming to their doorsteps.
So you believe it's the karma that we are going through? Sorry? It's all the karma that is all coming back. It's just the karma that we are going through now.
Yes. And that it has to, the world has to face it, because the people who are responsible, who were responsible to bring peace and security to the people of Kashmir, will have to, one way or the other, face the consequences as well.
Claire, coming to you, do you see any hope now, since there are so many positive things that we have talked about in it? What do you see now?
Yeah, very much. I mean, thank you for everybody that's come along and shared their stories, their expertise and what they've done, because obviously within my role, as Waqas said earlier, it's about the common people, what we're doing, the ordinary people of the world coming together and standing up and making the links with the people that this has been their profession, their business, their work for the last 30 years, 60 years, however many years it may be. You know, it's an honor to come into contact with that and learn that and hear about it and take it forward. I mean, Waqas mentioned a big achievement, getting in touch with the New Zealand Prime Minister. I wanted to take issue with you, Waqas, over that. I felt that our biggest achievement was the Whole World Tea Party, where we gathered people from every continent in the country just 2 weeks ago. We had an advisor to Donald Trump on there. We had Paul Bristow on there. We had many Asal Khan MPs, people from JKLF leader, a whole mixture of people coming together over a cup of tea to discuss the issue. And this is kind of taking this idea forward. I get very, very frustrated. And there are things that I see within my learning and my work that the Indian supporters, the Indian government lobbyists, it's very, very strong. They have infiltrated everywhere. So, where the Indian government are difficult to deal with and talk to, we've also got this silent army in every corridor, everywhere. They're running our media. They are in Facebook. So many people that have just shared an innocent post against India are losing their accounts. The evidence of the strength that India have across the board is there because of the money, because of the power. I think we're due to go through trade deal talk soon in the British Parliament, and the hope is there that we can somehow tie in the human rights issue to these trade deals, so that we will not trade with countries that cannot care for their human beings. We've been held up by the coronavirus because there are meant to be these discussions going forward. As a common person of the world and watching the recent Black Lives Matter movement, I could see how the common people are so frustrated at the lack of tolerance in our world, the lack of care. Now, they couldn't rise in the same way for Kashmir because they don't actually know it's really happening. And for me, watching the anger as they throw statues in the river, I'm thinking you could use this energy to rise for Kashmir, people that are actually getting, brutalized just now. So there's a whole world that can be tapped into to get this energy from the common person for Kashmir. And I think that's what I like to see as my role, really working. What can we do? How can we as a people, tap into those that have got the knowledge, bring you like a little army to your cause, those that are, because we want to do it through governance. We want to put pressure on our world leaders and the United Nations. And, what is the point of having United Nations with all those wonderful articles and charters of human rights if they're not implementing them? And obviously the Security Council that have promised Kashmir their plebiscite haven't given it, and look at the state of where we are. So I just want to bring more people to stand up to support those that have been fighting this cause for years, really. Yes, I do feel hope and encouragement. Thank you, everybody. They're right. We are rising together. We are raising awareness. There is that unity, and all those that have been dealing with this for years, I like the idea there of, what do we need to do about this? What is the problem right now? What have we learned from before, and what can we do? Where can we go with this? What do we need to do to get to plebiscite? And I think those questions are being explored and looked at, and I think we've seen that in this program. So it's been an honor, and Sadia, thank you for inviting me along too with all these people, and thank you everybody for taking part.
Thank you. Syed Ali Raza, Syed, just the last question from you. Do you think the China is being a part of it now? Do you think it's going to be any good for Pakistani, or what do you think? Since China now added into it.
China was always part of it because since there was a line of actual control, it means that this area was concerned by three countries like Pakistan, India, and China. So I think the China can play a very important role. And now what we have to do is how to play our cards. Because as Usman has said, there are a lot of interest of Western world, the other countries, they have a different interest. So we have to play very carefully, but I think it is a right time to play our cards. Mr. Modi has done a very damaging, he has done a lot of damage to the reputation of India. So it is time. What he's doing, we have to show to the international community, and we have to bring the friends with us. Not a single person was judged by the Indian courts who who committed the crimes against Jammu and Kashmir people there. So these are the points. We have to go to the international court. We have to go to the United Nations. And I will request to whoever is listening that our youth should play more role. They should write the emails. They should write to the decision makers. You know, today the world is changed. So we have to use the new tools which are available to us. So I will request Usman Sahab.
Sir, but
also
lot has been done. Like we have been to the United Nations so many times, and nothing has been done as of yet. Why is it?
Yeah, but that is the point. That's why in starting I said there is some mistakes, in our you can say the narrative or our strategy, whatever you can say. The Pakistan is sincere. It's only country in the world who is standing by the Kashmiri people.
By the Kashmiri people,
But
yes.
but why we cannot have the support of OIC? OIC, only 2 or 3 countries, they have contact group and they are giving the statements. But practically, we do not have any support from the Islamic world. Why? So there is a question for us.
Yeah,
So
exactly. That's the whole point, that we are here. Like we gather around, we talk about things. Even our Prime Minister has been to the United Nations. He has spoken a lot in this issue. But why is there still not
he has spoken?
Is it because the Indians are very strong?
But Indians were strong, not now. I think this is the time. If we play our cards, the Prime Minister of Pakistan last year, he said, when I will come back from United Nations, when he was visiting US, he said, I will give you the line. We are waiting for the line.
Yeah.
We did not get anything. They told us that we are going to the International Court of Justice. Why we are waiting for that? We have a lot of cases which we can bring to the Court of Justice. This is the time. I think I'm not talking about their sincerity or about their intention, but we have to do something. Otherwise, the people in IOK, they will lose hope, and we should not let them
lose hope. Exactly.
We have to do no. Hope is very important, as Usman has said. Hope, we should not lose the hope. And I'm afraid that if we don't do anything, even the small things, but which our brothers and sisters in IOK, they can see that the people are doing. We cannot do maybe whatever we want, but we can contribute in it. And I request to the leadership and the government of Pakistan also, please do practically things. You know,
exactly. That's my whole point.
Delegations.
They should be. And we should see something practical now.
And now, for example, the Security Council membership.
Yeah.
What I heard that the Foreign Minister Saab is saying that it will not do any damage, but we have to resist that. We have to resist that. We should campaign against that, and we should ask first. India should obey the laws. They should respect the resolutions, and then they can have. We are not against Indian people. We are not against India as such, but their policies, their occupation in Jammu and Kashmir, and what they are doing with our brothers and sisters there, that is condemnable. And we will. And I hope I will tell you, Sadia, that the people of Kashmir, they will get their right. It is the time now. They will get their right, and the situation will be changed. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Lastly, Sardar Usman, if you could shed some light on it, what Mr. Ali Raza Syed have just said. What do you
Ali
think?
Raza Syed Saab is absolutely right in his approach, and what he's been saying earlier, that collective wisdom of Kashmiri leadership and the leadership of Pakistan and like-minded people across the globe to devise one strategy to highlight the Kashmir issue in the right and appropriate manner. And likewise, for example, one tool, the email messaging to the appropriate people.
Thing was all done. What do you see? Like, what should be the practical issue now? We don't see anything practical.
Practical issue is practical thing is that as I said, and Sadia, mark my words, nobody can say anything right now. It's a situation that is emerging in the region. Now, China has never been accepted as a party to the Kashmir dispute. It was Pakistan one way or the other. Pakistani leadership once decided to include China, and they were very wise. And now we are realizing that they realized at that time that maybe that Pakistan is sometime alone in international corridors, weak, crippled, and they could not defend Kashmiris properly. And for that time, that they have included China into this dispute. Now Chinese are the reality. Chinese is not the reality. Now Chinese are the major party right now. And they have occupied, they have pushed back Indian forces. So this situation
their presence is going to help Pakistan free the Kashmir.
Of course, if you look at all the statements made by Chinese leadership on Gilgit-Baltistan, on Diamir Basha Dam, on Sikkim crisis, on Bhutan crisis, on Nepal crisis, in favor of Pakistan, that were exceptional. Chinese do not speak, as we all know, but they have spoken time and again in favor of Pakistan. And they have even said, when they asked Indian leadership why they have come to Bhutan, and they said, in aid to the Bhutan government, so said that we can land our forces in the Indian occupied Kashmir to support the Pakistan military on their request as well. So there was a very, very, very strong line drawn by Chinese, and now they are in charge. Now India is right now, I don't know about the latest update of what's going on that front, but this situation is not ending in 1 day or 2 days. But if we have a way out, a way forward, the way forward is talks. And for talks, we have to have a conducive environment to have a dialogue. And we need to sit down and agree on certain measures as a part of confidence building measures, and then they can take forward. Now, Kashmiris itself, the people living in Indian occupation for the last 70 years, they are not ready to trust the Indian leadership, and to some extent, they even have so many complaints and about the government of Pakistan as well. So because they are suffering right in front of the millions of guns, so they have rightly they can complain about whatever they feel, because we, alhamdulillah, we on the other side are living in a free area. We are living in a freedom. So as I say that this situation will keep on emerging, but for India, if India has to realize, and India needs to get back in this regional game, and they have to now have a truce, a harmony with China, and this issue is now on the table. Now Chinese are there. Chinese were never accepted. Chinese were never discussed as a party. We kept on saying it again and again to include China, but for some reasons that we don't understand, Chinese were not included, but now Chinese are there. So now with the emergence, with the inclusion of China, the things have changed, and it will keep on changing, and we have to, as Ali Raza Syed Saab has rightfully mentioned, that the leadership of Azad Kashmir, the Kashmiri leadership need to sit down and discuss this current situation and see the new opportunity. Ali Raza Syed Saab has mentioned that there is an opportunity right now for the Kashmiris. So there is a one.
Yes, very true.
But we need to utilize in the best possible manner, and it always has the skills and wisdom that lead to handle any particular problem or any situation.
And thank you so much. Thank you for all the guests for being here and joining the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
It will be
Sadia.
all done, and Kashmir will be free.
Okay.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Inshallah. Okay, Usman Saab, Wajid Saab.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Allah Hafiz, Wajid Saab.